So for me, it was a little bit, I was a little bit blackmailed. I just said, all right, let's do it, I guess, and let's see what happens.
From the outside, Ryan Reynolds seems like the perfect Hollywood success story. A charismatic actor, a savvy entrepreneur, and a philanthropic darling whose quick wit endears him to fans across the globe. His reputation for kindness and lighthearted charm appears so genuine that many people can't imagine him as anything but the funny, likable star next door. Yet behind that polished image, a shocking drama has erupted, one that entangles both his equally famous wife, Blake Lively, and another Hollywood figure, Justin Baldoni. At first glance, Baldoni is merely a rising talent who crossed paths with a powerful couple. But according to him, Ryan and Blake orchestrated a ruthless scheme to strip away his creative rights, smear his name across tabloid headlines, and engineer an elaborate media circus to ensure they came out on top. This story centers on more than just professional rivalry. It's about a meticulously crafted persona collapsing under the weight of hidden agendas, last-minute rewrites, and a suspiciously staged paparazzi fiasco. Allegations of manipulated production timetables and covert script meddling have piled up, creating a firestorm that threatens to topple Ryan's carefully manicured public image. And if that isn't enough, new evidence continues to leak from Baldoni's camp. Evidence that points directly to Ryan not only supporting Blake's legal challenges, but actively conspiring with her to have Baldoni blacklisted. How did Hollywood's nicest guy become embroiled in one of the film industry's nastiest public feuds? And can he recover from this dramatic freefall? For much of his career, Ryan Reynolds felt like an actor who could do no wrong. His earliest roles might have been small, but the seeds of his comedic charm were evident from the start. After a stint in soap operas, he began stacking up comedic parts in teen films and rom-coms. Then came the blockbuster phase, global hits that propelled him to a new level of stardom, with Deadpool sealing his fate as both a Marvel icon and a comedic force. Throughout these transitions, Ryan forged a wholesome, everyman brand that resonated with virtually everyone. It wasn't only about the comedic timing, it was also about his philanthropic gestures. He donated large sums to humanitarian causes, championed vulnerable communities, and seemed genuinely down to earth when interacting with fans. He was a combination of star power and accessibility that made him rare in Hollywood. Outside of acting, he parlayed this relatable vibe into business ventures. Witness the success of his aviation gin brand or his surprising purchase of a struggling British football club, a move that had fans everywhere calling him the real-life Ted Lasso. Critics and admirers alike saw these actions as a natural extension of his philanthropic personality, further establishing him as the ultimate good guy. Yet there's a double edge to this beloved persona. When someone cultivates an image that is too perfect, any whispers of controversy can have an outsized effect. For years, there were only faint rumors that Ryan could be calculating behind the scenes, adept at weaving his own narrative. Nothing conclusive emerged, until now. The allegations tying Ryan to a behind-the-curtain takedown strategy are far more sinister than mere gossip. Coupled with his wife's legal standoff against Justin Baldoni, these revelations threaten to erode the bedrock of his public identity. If Ryan's halo is slipping, it's because his carefully nurtured nice guy persona has come under scrutiny by the very people who once praised him. Gone are the days when fans and media offered him unconditional love. There's a growing sense that his folksy charm might be a strategic device, not a sign of genuine warmth. And the more that surfaces about his covert activities, whether that's rewriting a script in secret or leaning on industry contacts to block someone's career, the more his story appears less like a comedic Marvel hero's journey and more like the tale of an ambitious actor stepping on others to protect his brand. Against this backdrop enters Justin Baldoni, a rising star known for his directorial talent and a genuine enthusiasm for telling heartfelt stories. Baldoni's early career mostly painted him as a thoughtful, optimistic figure, especially when it came to content promoting empathy and social awareness. This outlook earned him admiration, and he made a name directing projects meant to uplift viewers. To call him a troublemaker or someone itching for a feud would seem out of character. At least, that's how many saw him until this dispute erupted. What caused him to clash with one of Hollywood's most revered couples? Initially, it seemed like a dream collaboration, a film project with huge potential and a beloved source novel that fans everywhere couldn't wait to see adapted. Blake Lively was cast in a pivotal role, and Justin Baldoni found himself balancing creative control with an A-list actress who, it turned out, had her own creative ambitions. It became worrisome when Baldoni received text messages from Ryan, urging him to shift production schedules and accommodate his personal timeline. Baldoni, being a friendly admirer of Ryan's, adjusted his carefully planned shoot, hoping to maintain goodwill. Before he knew it, though, bigger changes emerged, ones that allegedly didn't come from Blake alone, but from the couple acting as a power team behind the scenes. This stage set the tone for a conflict that exploded into the open after principal photography ended. Few realized the depth of the tension until the legal battles began. It's one thing to have quiet creative differences. It's another to be publicly accused of sabotage. According to Baldoni, Ryan and Blake used industry connections to reshape every corner of his film project, ultimately marginalizing him in the process. And while Hollywood is rife with power plays, this feud escalated into fresh territory, hinting at betrayal, stealth script rewrites, and aggressive PR campaigns to erode someone's career. Beneath the friendly exterior, Ryan allegedly flexed the kind of heavy-handed influence that can turn a promising director's future upside down. It all got very real when Blake lively filed official paperwork accusing Justin Baldoni of harassment and orchestrating a smear campaign against her. The allegations rocked the film industry, a top-tier actress claiming that her director spread defamatory rumors and toxic gossip. Suddenly, social media timelines were jammed with everything from supportive fans praising Blake's courage to skeptics demanding the facts. But to understand how Ryan became tied to the drama, you need to realize that Blake wasn't fighting this battle alone. From the start, there were whispers that Ryan wasn't just standing by his wife. He was actively fueling her claims. Allegedly, he used his own standing to nudge influential figures at agencies, tabloids, and production houses, planting negative stories about Baldoni and stoking the fires of controversy. Baldoni was blindsided. He had worked tirelessly on the film and never expected to find himself in the crosshairs of such high-profile opponents. One moment, he was trying to adapt a sensitive novel to the screen with the best possible team. The next, he was reeling from accusations that threatened not only to remove him from his own project, but to blacklist him. As the dispute escalated, fans of Baldoni insisted that the claims against him were suspiciously timed, popping up just as creative clashes began overshadowing the production schedule. On the other side, Blake was determined to shape the narrative. She granted interviews detailing her experiences, suggesting that Baldoni resisted her input or belittled her contributions. Then, in a particularly bold revelation, she admitted that a key scene, one that had become the film's major talking point, was penned by Ryan. This exposed a glaring contradiction. Earlier, she presented that scene as her idea, yet she now gave her husband full credit. In Baldoni's eyes, this single slip of the tongue proved everything he'd been saying. Blake and Ryan were coordinating behind his back, rewriting major moments, and silently taking over creative control. Why would they do it, though? According to Baldoni, their motive was straightforward: full ownership of the final cut, plus the power to direct the film's future expansions, sequels, or spin-offs. By sidelining him through a lawsuit that tarnished his reputation, they could secure creative authority. Fueled by attorneys on both sides, the controversy spread like wildfire through industry circles. And as more details leaked, Ryan's saintly image began taking hits. No longer was he viewed as a harmless cheerleader for Blake's career, but rather as a cunning strategist who'd pull hidden strings for a bigger prize. Once the dust settled from the initial lawsuits, it became evident that Blake Lively's big rewrite claim wasn't an isolated incident. A pattern emerged suggesting that Ryan Reynolds not only contributed to one pivotal scene, but had a hand in shaping multiple moments in the film's final cut. Baldoni's supporters pointed to an odd discrepancy. If Ryan was never officially listed as a screenwriter or co-director, why was he in closed-door editing sessions, scanning daily footage, and even requesting changes? From text messages leaked by Baldoni's camp, it appears that Ryan had more than a casual interest. One particular string of messages referenced secret meetups in New York, where Ryan supposedly pitched improvements to the script that favored Blake's on-screen presence. Baldoni felt blindsided. He'd hold formal production meetings by day, but by night, Ryan and Blake were apparently reconfiguring the film's direction with their own private circle of advisors. The biggest red flag appeared when the star couple began referencing an extended rooftop scene as some kind of showpiece for the movie. Baldoni, who had conceptualized the scene differently, couldn't understand why so many resources were suddenly being funneled into that one segment. Then came Blake's offhand revelation on the red carpet that Ryan actually wrote it. The worst part? She seemed entirely nonchalant about dropping that information, as though she expected no repercussions. For Baldoni, that moment was brutal. He realized the film that had once been his passion project had essentially become a chessboard, with Ryan and Blake maneuvering pieces to position themselves for maximum creative control. All of this reveals a side of Ryan few ever suspected. An actor who might be sweet on camera, but behind it is unafraid to pull strings and enforce outcomes to his advantage. As soon as fans and industry veterans realized the depth of his alleged involvement, the narrative shifted. The question wasn't merely whether Blake was feuding with Baldoni. It became, how far will Ryan Reynolds go to protect his image and secure control? Just when it seemed like the drama couldn't get any stranger, a bizarre incident at New York's PY Center made headlines. Ryan Reynolds was spotted leaving an event, only to be greeted by a sudden swarm of fans brandishing homemade signs and hoping to get his signature. The supposed spontaneity of the moment quickly unraveled when online sleuths noticed alarming details. The fans had identical cardboard signs with the same color tape, the same messy handwriting, and, oddly, not a single phone in sight. In an era when everyone whips out a camera at the slightest brush with fame, the absence of phones was glaring. TikTok investigators pounced on this, claiming it looked staged from every angle. One especially vocal commentator pointed out that it's virtually impossible for random fans to 1. Learn of Ryan's whereabouts, 2. All show up with the same posters, and 3. Be so uninterested in filming the interaction on their phones. This fiasco, which might have been intended as a good PR moment for Ryan, instead screamed orchestrated. Celebrities staging paparazzi shots is nothing new. Some do it for beneficial coverage or to reframe controversies. But this particular misfire came at the worst possible time. It shattered the aura that Ryan was simply enduring a wave of bad press. Instead, it made him look desperate. In the context of Baldoni's accusations, the paparazzi chaos started to feel less like an isolated miscalculation and more like yet another piece of evidence pointing to a pattern of calculated image control. Those who wanted to defend Ryan insisted that autograph hounds gather frequently at venues in New York and LA, and that it's common knowledge certain spots are always staked out by professional autograph collectors. But even they had to admit the identical signs and lack of phones made this encounter look awfully suspicious. In the end, it became one more damaging saga, fueling the controversy surrounding Ryan. Further proof, in many eyes, that he was doing anything possible to steer the spotlight away from the negative coverage swirling around him, Blake and Justin Baldoni. By now, the allegations of sabotage, shady behind-the-scenes meddling, and a laughably staged fan ambush had snowballed into a massive PR crisis. Casual fans who once believed Ryan Reynolds embodied everything fun and wholesome about Hollywood started searching for more clues that he'd been playing them all along. Adding to the mess, legal documents began circulating that accused Ryan of intimidating those who refused to back Blake's side in her dispute with Baldoni. One of the most pointed claims came from an unnamed film insider who insisted that Ryan used hush-hush dinner meetings with influential studio figures to push a narrative that Justin Baldoni was, in their words, unprofessional and out of control. These allegations had a ripple effect. At one point, Baldoni was reportedly dropped by a prominent agency, and rumors swirled that Ryan had a hand in that outcome. Although conclusive proof remains elusive, the mounting coincidences were enough to make people question whether Hollywood's beloved star had systematically turned powerful contacts against a fellow. Ryan's devoted followers, meanwhile, tried to hold the line, insisting the actor was merely standing by his wife. They argued that any negativity swirling around him was either overblown or fabricated. But with each new leak, that stance became tougher to maintain. The unfolding drama hinted at real manipulations, half-truths, and behind-the-scenes power grabs that took the story far beyond a marital show of support. In the court of public opinion, Ryan's once unassailable fortress of goodwill had been breached, and each fresh accusation opened those walls wider. By this point, whether or not Ryan was actually the villain seemed almost irrelevant. What mattered was that the narrative took on a life of its own, fueled by sensational details about hidden script rewrites and alleged industry blackballing. With momentum building behind the notion that Ryan had orchestrated more than one shady move, the public's curiosity escalated. If the couple couldn't quell these rumors, they ran the risk of letting a story once confined to industry gossip become a cultural flashpoint, overshadowing Ryan's entire brand. Facing an avalanche of bad press, Ryan's team kicked into high gear with classic crisis management tactics. He made conspicuous appearances at charitable events, posted cheery behind-the-scenes photos on social media, and engaged in a flurry of comedic banter online. Anything to reinforce the notion that he remained the same endearing guy fans fell in. Fans who had idolized him for his humor and authenticity began asking tough questions. They wondered if the philanthropic nice guy was real, or if it was a glossy cover for an ambitious operator who valued control above all else. In any other context, these suspicions might have simply faded with time. But Justin Baldoni wasn't backing down, and the evidence kept rolling in. Every new detail that emerged, from alleged sabotage to cunning social media leaks, eroded the simple story of a loyal husband defending his wife. While Ryan's comedic touches might have once been the perfect remedy for deflecting scandal, in this climate, they came off as tone-deaf. Viewers grew impatient, demanding a genuine response. With every passing day that he dodged the main issues, the strength of his brand waned. Balancing slick PR with the meltdown of public trust is no easy feat, even for a star as popular as Ryan Reynolds. When we think of Ryan Reynolds, the words likable, hilarious, and generous come to mind. For years, he wore that crown of Hollywood's nice guy without a single slip, making audiences laugh in blockbuster films and warming hearts with philanthropic gestures. Yet the events of the past months, spurred by the dramatic feud between his wife Blake Lively and director Justin Baldoni, have dragged him into the ugliest legal and moral battle of his career. The revelations of secret rewriting, alleged sabotage, and a clumsy autograph stunt all challenge the authenticity of his public persona. It would be easy to dismiss these developments as just another Hollywood spat if so many credible details hadn't aligned so perfectly against him. Baldoni's lawsuits and Blake's countersuits have revealed behind-the-scenes power grabs, manipulative PR strategies, and a fight to maintain total creative control at someone else's expense. Whether Ryan is truly the mastermind or merely a well-intentioned husband caught up in the crossfire remains an open debate. But the damage to his image is real, and recovering that lost trust might be his greatest challenge to date. For now, all we can do is watch each new development unfold. The lawsuits are still active, the rumors are still churning, and the key players have yet to find common ground. In an industry that thrives on reinvention, it's possible this is just a temporary derailment. Or perhaps it's the turning point where Ryan's unblemished facade is permanently cracked, revealing a more complex figure than anyone ever guessed. Either way, the truth behind Hollywood's nicest guy has become more slippery than ever, and audiences worldwide are left with the unsettling question of whether they truly knew Ryan Reynolds at all.